Deception number 5, evolution and the Bible are compatible. And I think that is actually completely the opposite. I can almost understand how somebody believes naturalism and that there is no God and that everything has come about through natural ways. I can see how they want to believe that, and I can see how we can believe in biblical creation that God created in 6 days, 6,000 years ago. But to fit millions of years and billions of years into the Bible doesn't make sense. In fact, looking at the Bible, looking at the perspectives, here we see, this is the second perspective, this is man's perspective, the evolutionary perspective. You've got death happening over millions of years, and it's over a process. Evolution happens over long periods of time using death. Things live, they die, they live, they die, they live, they die, passing on their genetics and ultimately becoming more and more evolved, like man here. Whereas that's completely opposite from the Bible, where we have death, but we know death is because of sin. In the beginning, there is no death. In the garden, God did not create us to die, I believe. And that we see that same thing in the end, where God will call us to himself and we will live forever with him. There is no death in the end. We see death is because of sin. In fact, if we look at the fossil record, if we look at these layers of rock with fossils in them, and we see pain and death and suffering and disease and all that, we see cancer and we see infection and we see fish eating fish and everything else. We see death there. If you have death and all these things before Adam and Eve, then it's not very good, as God said it was in the Garden of Eden. If God used evolution, then death and suffering are his purpose in his creation. And I don't believe that's true. God did not create with the purpose of death and suffering. That happened. He knew it was going to happen, but that was not his purpose. If the curse and death were not a result of Adam and Eve's sin, as God said, then did Jesus really overcome death? Do we really believe the Bible? The old earth perspectives teach death before sin. They undermine the gospel. If Adam was the first Adam and because of him brought sin to the rest of the world, the whole world, and we all live in sin because of Adam and Eve, then Jesus, being the second Adam, the last Adam, to rid us, overcome death, if that's just a spiritual death, it doesn't really completely make sense. Did Jesus have to die physically? It just undermines the gospel. It's inconsistent with God's character, and it denies that creation was complete and good, as God said it was. These old earth perspectives really do damage to the Bible, and they change what is really written in the Bible. And even scientifically, day 3, God created the plants on the earth. And then day 4, he created the sun, moon, and stars. If you don't have light from the sun for millions of years, if that day is 1,000,000 years long or 1,000 years long or however long you say it is, plants couldn't survive without the sun. So the truth there, the evolutionary perspective, contradicts the gospel. And that's, again, the crux, I think, of the evolution-creation debate and what that does to God's word.